Here's Georgetown's in the College Cup, the first time ever for the Huskies. Matt Thompson is our official in the middle, and we are underway. Semifinal number 2, the winner will get Clemson, 2 Eastern, on Sunday on ESPNU. Kieran Sargent lays it out to touch. Freshman center back, deputizing for Daniel Wu, the senior local product from Cary, North Carolina, out injured. Sargent has played the last 4 games. Wu was injured in the Big East Tournament semifinal. What does Wu's absence mean for this Georgetown team, Devin?
Well, he asked me that the day he goes down. I'd say something different. Because Sargent has been so good on the back line. You know, there's a constant confidence that you get out of a player like Daniel Wu, some regard as one of the better center backs in the entire country. I know that Brian Weiss does. But to be honest, it gives you a different dimension when Daniel Wu's not there. And that's not to say you want to lose a player to an injury, but Daniel Wu, they don't attack as much with Daniel Wu as they do with Kieran Sargent. Sargent's willing to step off the back line. Daniel Wu, you see the 17 games this season, hasn't been able to make his way back in. So expect the rotation out of Sands, but also Sargent, because he will step up into that pocket depending on what the midfield 2 in front of him look like.
Wu scored a goal in that 2019 final that Georgetown won in penalties against UVA. Senior, a leader, but Sargent is now deputizing quite well. First ball played in. 18 goals scored this year for the Huskies on set pieces in the last 18 matches. They are dangerous there. Georgetown handled the first one well. And they'll always have long throws as well. Charlie Ostrom with the long throw. Looking to Rylan Saylor. He gets the flick on, and Georgetown's able to handle it and pop back in, and falls to Giannis Nikopolidis. One of the best goalkeepers in the country. Brian Weiss, one of the best coaches in the country. Again, won that 2019 title. 16th season here at Georgetown has built them into a national perennial power. 9 NCAA tournaments in 10 years. He's done outstanding jobs of being a player at Dartmouth, assistant at Stanford, assistant Notre Dame, great pedigree. As you have a great pedigree too, Devin Kerr. What is your download of this match? Your key?
Box him out in the midfield. One of the biggest differences you're going to get out of that 19 to 21 title-winning squad in terms of style of play is they don't really play at number 10. And so in the absence of a Jacob Montez or any other presence in there, what they do is they'll take their outside midfielders, press them to the inside, and they allow Zawadzki and Pulvar to be on the ball a lot more. So they basically recreated in the aggregate Moneyball style.
Billy Dean will appreciate that shout out. First corner of the match for Georgetown, getting going the other way. And Jamie Clark on the other side, his 11th season at University of Washington. First time getting into the College Cup. He's the 3-time Coach of the Year in the conference, 9th NCAA tournament. Helped build this program. Was an outstanding player at Stanford. Played under his father, Bobby Clark. We'll talk more about that. But he was an All-American. Went on to be drafted in the 2nd round of the MLS draft back in San Jose. Now applying his try to trade as a coach. Low ball driven in. Almost flicked on by Zawadzki there. He gets up a little worse for the wear. Hitching his giddy up. Georgetown loves a quick restart, quick throw in. All back in play. Dante Pulvar, first touch for the midfield of the year for the Big East. And also Matt Kerman, semifinalist, number 8 there on the ball for the second straight year. He's the midfield of the year in the conference. And Rocha on the ball. Georgetown likes to play. They like to possess the ball, control the game with the ball at their feet.
We talked a lot in that first matchup, Dallin, between Clemson and Notre Dame about shape-shifting and what that was going to look like. The true presence for Georgetown and how active they're going to be resides on those 2 guys in the ball right now, Zawadzki and Pulvar. They got to get them going and maintain confidence throughout an entire match. Otherwise, this truly does not work. I mentioned the boxing out. It all runs through the double holding midfielders and what that looks like in the matchup, because for Jamie Clark and the Washington Huskies, second part of Devin's download, what they bring to the table is transitional movements. And so when the two holding midfielders come high, it's a lot of space in behind. That's when Tevez and Miglietti go to work. I mentioned they were probably one of the best in the country. Jamie Clark's going to be yelling at me because he's saying they are the best in the country. Remember, I looked at him, I said, you've got good presence on the back line, good look on the outside, good height. Your boys in the middle, very confident on the ball, 2 strikers up top. What are you missing? I said, hopefully nothing. Hopefully we can just continue to transition and go score goals the way we have all season long.
We'll find out if they can do that. They've been a prolific scoring team. 4th in the nation at 2.67 goals per game. They finished 2nd in the Pac-12 behind Oregon State. Slightly controversial because of COVID. They didn't get to play an extra game. So Oregon State got the opportunity to play more than one game. Now, the Beavers did beat them and drew them. So even in a head-to-head situation, and they fell 3 points shy. They weren't winning it anyway. But I know the guys were a little hard done by that. They made a point of saying that, hey, we play one last game.
Well, in the game that they did lose, the only blemish, down to 9 men.
Yeah,
a couple red cards in that game, and they don't really feel like they were played off the park. I agree with them. Watch the body of work that they've put forth all season. That's why I said to you that, at least in my humble opinion, obviously you don't get a vote on the committee, never have, never will. But these are the 2 best teams in college soccer, and Washington, they wanted that opportunity to grab that #1 seed. Didn't get a chance.
Will Sands getting forward from his left back spot as always. Joe DeLuz, 28 on the ball as well. Back and forth between them. Sargent. Center back up in the attack. Polvara. Looking for Stefan Stojanovic. Up to him. Good step by Achille Robin. Transfer from Bowling Green, a native of France. DeLuz. Sands, his twin brother, James Sands, plays for NYCFC. We're playing in the MLS Cup tomorrow. They'll be on ABC 3 Eastern, but also part of the U.S. national team pool. Both grew up in that academy together alongside Dante Polvara, number 8 in the middle, Gio Reyna, and a number of other studs. That team was ridiculous. They won back-to-back National Development Academy championships.
His sister's also pretty successful in their own right at Division III level. Lizzie Starabodine and Kate won 2 NCAA titles away. This is the best thing that I saw about that, and all the guys coming out of NCFC and the youth products. You know, there's Will Sands, James Sands, of course, you just mentioned. Polvara's in there. Belko Petkovic. Dear Lord, the things that he's done for Pitt.
I mean,
Gio Reyna, heard of him?
Yeah. Gio and Joe Scally are doing their stuff in Germany.
Not so
right
bad, right?
Yeah.
There was actually 13 different players. Talked about it last game. Yeah. 13 different players. And the worst that they did for themselves was play Division I soccer in the NCAAs. I mean, that's not bad. And I looked at Dante Polvara and asked him about it, and he just kind of looked over with a little smirk and said, yeah, we were good.
Yeah, we were pretty good. We were pretty good.
Only team to ever win back-to-back national titles at the DA level in U19s.
Christian Soto's got his head up. For Emmanuel Rosales. Rosales' pass picked off, and maybe an opportunity for Georgetown in transition. Calonaris ran out of room. Looking for Tevez, and he's offside. And Tevez back-to-back hat tricks in the NCAA tournament. One against Portland in their opening game, then against Indiana in a 3-2 game that was absolutely thrilling. That's never been done in the NCAA tournament. Back-to-back hatties.
Those are those little look throw that you will get out of Tevez. 3v1 still slides in behind. Interesting to note that Georgetown doesn't have a very tall back line. That's something you want to keep an eye on when you've got a small striker, and I mean that very politely at 5'7" to the Hawaiian native, but Dylan Tevez, he's so crafty, and he'll find those little spaces to work in between the lines, but because of the fact that he doesn't have to win his aerial battles, a little bit easier on the 9 tonight. Some food for thought, by the way, as we're waiting for them to get back going. And referee has a early Christmas gift for Nielsen on the back line for Georgetown. Here's your shin guard. Check out just outside of the center circle. That's Nick Scardina. I mean, they play very narrow at times, and this is the matchup that I talked about because of the fact that Will Sands comes so high. He's got to cover a lot of ground. When they invert the outside midfielder, then Will Sands comes up. You have a guessing game of, do I go with the initial runner or do I catch the one on the touchline?
Scardina tried to play it over the top of Tevez. Doesn't come to him. Sargent playing a long ball, looking to get it over Burns' head, doesn't come down. Scardina on it. Out to Rosales. Out to Ostrom. Ostrom, the Pac-12 Defensive Player of the Year last year, first team all Pac-12. A number of these guys were first team, second team, or honorable mention in the Pac-12. As you can imagine, it's a great year they had. Soto on the ball. One of those honorable mentions this year. Last year was first team all league.
These guys just sat down on the chessboard and haven't really decided if they want to move all their pawns yet, right?
Yeah. Oh,
slowly moving into this game.
Sands undercut. Heavy challenge. Kalani Cosa-Rienzi got up underneath him.
Foul indicated against the Huskies.
Local crowd came down from D.C. Also from Washington, though. We had a sellout for the earlier game. Obviously, the set. Some people have headed for the exits, licking their wounds, some celebrating if you're a Tigers fan. But still a great crowd on hand. Clever backfield, well read by Rocha. Sam Fowler, the keeper, good distribution out to Burns, but he can't bring it down. Megan Mullen, the near side AR, says it will be Georgetown ball. What have you seen so far? About 15 minutes in, Dev.
Georgetown has moved away from their traditional looks going forward. We talked how they will bring their outside mids in and really try and create an overload on the inside. Thought it would be more difficult, at least in the early goings, for someone like Christian Soto and Cosa-Rienzi, but instead they've left the 10 in there, and they're really only bringing one outside midfielder in, so they haven't been able to connect as much as they'd like to. And when they go side to side, it's the weak side midfielder that allows them to build, but the far side one is matched up. Washington doing a real good job defensively at understanding where those runs come from. Specifically Scardina on this right side. He hasn't been tested at all.
Kovar's pass deflected, but makes it to the feet of Stojanovic. Sargent takes the space, then lays it back to Zawadzki. Switch to Sands and can't complete the pass. Georgetown has had, you talk to their fans behind the goal here, making their presence felt. This is the Big East regular season champions. You see that they're building through the course of the year. They take a picture after every game, and the fans just stick around, the supporters. Look at how it's grown throughout the Big East tournament, into the quarterfinals, and a lot of them made the trip down here from D.C. to support their boys. It will be a second College Cup. First one back in 2019.
How about the travel schedule, by the way? On the bus, down here, finish the game, turn around, head back, basketball match, in hopes that they're then going to turn around and catch the red eye on the bus for the championship game on Sunday.
Nothing I love better than you just called it a basketball match. This is great because people always like, let's call it a match or nil. Let's just all be fans. I don't care what it is. We're American. Let's say we're Americanized the sports match game, whatever. So you want to call a basketball game a match? I'm in.
All right.
Well, you got Syracuse, Georgetown at noon. That'll be an interesting game to say the least. Not what it once was, but a big game nonetheless. With those kids, yes, are going back for, and if they need to come back on Sunday, the bus will be geared up and ready to go to get them back here. Agard's pass way too heavy for Zawadzki. He's able to track it down, man.
I'd love to be able to operate on that no-sleep schedule. We do. We just don't want to. It's a difference.
I can pull a rabbit out of a hat every now and again.
Yeah.
These 6 a.m. flights all the time and whatnot.
What you will notice defensively for the Huskies is on the inside, right there. The 2 holding midfielders. They don't vary, stay left and right. They don't really step out of that. They have a comfort zone that they operate within because of this right there. They expect them to go win those balls and then spring the outside midfielders going the other direction.
Big tackle by Popar there to take it off of Scardina's foot. Stop the transition. Watsky's in the pocket. Hagar doesn't play him. Skips it over, and what an opportunity for Sands, but he's going to want that one back.
One of the more aggressive players you're going to get in traditional Hoya blue. They're wearing gray tonight, but he plays such an advanced role and doesn't lack for confidence. Just got to put this one on frame. Early game jitters, recognizes that this was probably not one of his better efforts. Great build by Georgetown, though.
Was he trying to play that back across?
No.
It seemed like he was hit. It was just that bad of a miss?
Yes.
Okay.
He knows it. I mean, you could see his hands go to his head immediately. There was, first of all, there's no one there that he could take enough off the ball to put out in front of.
Yeah.
And number 2, sometimes down as a player, it's kind of like you played basketball. You're so wide open, right? That you get in your own brain, and that was a situation where even though there were bodies in front of him, that was his to lose.
Yep. Good comp. Appreciate that. I understand it intimately. Sands' first team all-conference this year, 3rd team all-conference last year, the junior from Rye, New York. Will Palvaro win this foot race? He does. He strokes it back out to Sands. Palvaro's pretty easy on the eye. He's in some space, they don't play him. He just has an ease about him and flow about him in the game, which makes it look so simple.
I'm about to make a comparison, and people are going to think I'm crazy. And I'm just talking about the way that he carries himself, not the actual physical skill set. He reminds me of Paul Pogba.
Oh,
you know, the long legs, the big frame, just kind of cruises along. Never really feels like he's going that fast, but just calming presence in the midfield.
Laid to Tevez, he pulls a shot. It's a really good comp. The game looks easy and just kind of flows. Not bad. And Lucas Meek is about to check in. He was one of the players that featured in this match in 2019, the quarterfinal matchup. One of the 7 Huskies to play in that game. Meek comes in from Rosales. The junior from Washington. He made it very clear, and I know a lot of people are watching in the Seattle area and the Washington area, how much they want to win this for Seattle. A lot of these guys are from Washington, almost half the roster, and they take pride in where they're from and the support they've gotten all year. They want to win this for all those folks back home. As Sands is working, finds the lose. Ricochets off, Sands out for the goal kick.
It's not just the pride from within the squad and the brotherhood that you hear so many teams talk about. Whether it's false pretense or not is another argument, but the surrounding area, a lot of these guys grew up playing against each other. UW players and Seattle Sounders organization, Crossfire Premier, boys coming out of Hawaii, they know each other very well. The way that the former DA system now, in which all the academies around the country are set up. It's also interesting to note that you have guys like Lucas Meek, who just came on, Orion Crowley, who they were starters last year.
Yeah.
These were the guys that were regularly appearing in the 11 but they don't have those attitudes or carry themselves that they think they're better than the shirt, because it's all about the shirt. They want to have success, and that's all that matters to them.
Scardina looking back post. Off the line comes Nicopolidis, outstanding keeper in his own right. Back to two-time Big East goalkeeper of the year. Great pedigree. His father, Antonis Nicopolidis, was on that legendary Greek team, the 04 Euro Championship team. He came from nowhere. You couldn't score on them. Didn't matter. They weren't the most fun to watch, but they went into the history books, and his father is a legend there. And Giannis has carved out quite a legend here at Georgetown with his great performances through the years.
Talk about the fact you just made reference to an 04 team that had a Ronaldo on it that's still playing. He was on that Portugal squad, right?
Yeah. That's bananas. That dude doesn't.
It's also science.
Yeah. He's an alien.
You know, he's got movements like his dad. That big, commanding presence, very vocal. This is what you want out of a goalkeeper, though. It's not the fact that you're willing to come make this save. It's that 15, 20 minutes into a title match, you're going to come 8, 10 yards off your line and really say, boys, I'm commanding this. This is mine.
Missed a few games this year due to injury. Athens, Greece is his hometown. Said his dad talks to him after a lot of matches. Gives some little pointers, mentality things. Of course, trying to help his son improve. Crowd making him feel it a little bit. Sam Fowler back there in front of the Hoya Blues, they call themselves. Supporters group. Pass almost left short. Fowler's off his line to get rid of it. Argument that it should be Georgetown throw. And yes, Matt Thompson, the referee, gets in the mix. Changes it up. Ryan Weiss talking to Daniel Rapp, the fourth official. A little chat. Ball goes out of bounds. Tell you about hoops coming your way on Saturday afternoon. Doubleheader. Kansas and Mizzou. Mizzou has been struggling, and Kansas is really good. At Allen Fieldhouse, 3:15 Eastern. Then old school rivals square off in South Bend. Number 10 Kentucky takes on Notre Dame. They split the last 6 matchups. Notre Dame struggled a little bit to start the year. Kentucky's young again, but they got a lot of great transfers and talented. Put the last 6 games back to 2004. Both games on ESPN and the ESPN app. Starts at 3:15 because at 3 o'clock will be the Jimmy V speech from the 1993 ESPYs. Whether you've seen it or not, tune in and watch it. And as he says in the speech, have your emotions move to tears every day as a goal of the day. You will do that, no doubt, if you tune in to listen to Jimmy V speak. About 30 minutes from where he became a legend at NC State, leading to the 1984 national title on the hardwood. Ball played in. Nicopolidis off his line, gets a punch on it. Soto. Flick on. Sargent will be able to clear. Stanovich. Played it to the loose. Soto cleared out once the foul, no call. Georgetown making a sub. Zach Riviere checks in the match. He's coming in for Linares. Riviere scored already in this tournament against Georgia State. That was their first game, their opening game in the tourney. Played now his 70th match for Georgetown. He was part of that 2019 team. Played in the final against UVA. Played in the quarterfinal against UW. Miglietti just took out Will Sands. They're playing on, and Sands is down. Miglietti scored both goals in their last match to get them to this point, beating St. Louis in the quarterfinal. And Sands is up now, though, limping a bit.
things that the Huskies are trying to do right now, Dallin, is because of the unwillingness of the Hoyas to overcommit on the outside. They talked about how they're willingly bringing one of those outside mids to the inside. Defensively, you're set up for success. You don't overcommit, the space isn't in from behind, so transitionally, the Huskies haven't been able to move as quickly as they'd like, and they're trying to connect in other areas.
A lot of contact over here. See Chris Haggard take out Christian Soto. Did not card him. Whenever Matt Thompson stopped the match and walked over, I wondered if he was going to. A little hip check. Good to see no card there.
Similar to the first match, if you're going to let him play, just let him play.
Yeah.
Any player on the field is going to want to know what your intentions are to begin with. Just like a player, you look at the referee and try and get away with stuff. And I'm not saying that situation, but you know, little tugs here, shoulder charges. How much leash are you going to give me in these situations? And so far, the answer is a plenty.
Haggard knows these guys pretty well. Chris Haggard, sophomore from San Diego, actually played in the Sounders Academy, where a lot of these guys are from. The Huskies crew, as we mentioned already. Third team All Big East this year.
The Sounders team that he played on was one that rivaled the NYCFC team that we were talking about, 2019 team that won a bunch of things. They didn't win the national title, but then Adidas Cup, Surf Cup. We're talking about some of the biggest youth tournaments in the nation.
They're striding forward a bit. Sands battling with Burns, a couple all-league players. Sands may win this battle. That's a dink pass him to lose, but can't connect. Balls to Polvara. No ball put in. Sojanovic tries to turn. A lot of contact. Haggard asking for a foul, none given. That's for a penalty, I should say. Soto in some space. Back to Ryan Saylor. Defensive Player of the Year in the Pac-12. He's got 6 goals, the big center back. And we mentioned them on set pieces. He comes forward. Super senior, man. First 4 years college, he played in 13 games. Talk about development. Last 2, he's been an all-league player, second team, first team, now Defensive Player of the Year. 4, top of your screen right now in black. Tevez, good control. Still Tevez. And she's the hat-trick hero. 2 hat-tricks in this NCAA tournament. He wanted to give it a go. Should he have let that go? Passed it off, I should say?
No, not the way that he's been exerting himself on the offensive side. You know, the steps. When you got a guy that's running hot, let him go. Yeah. Right? Just continue to let him go. And if you don't let him try and find some momentum within a game, that's when he can start to fall off of it. Pavar on one end, good ball played in. Watch this turn. Beautiful turn by Stojanovic. Just loses the footing underneath him. Got to give a little credit to Ryan Saylor. Not a lot of contact, but that shoulder just in behind the striker pushes him off the play.
Ball driven in.
This is one of my favorite things about the Huskies is they won't overly press you. It's intermittent, but the pressure is constant. And a lot of times you'll see it from 2 strikers up top. They try to shift over, push you into a corner. The 2 flat midfielders are where it's really the unlocking point, but at the same point in time, they're the focal point of their defensive success, because if they don't both come quickly, then the space is there to easily play out of. So far, they've gotten into it. But if you watch some of the goals that they've given up throughout the season, it's when the 2 guys on the inside, Christian Soto and Kalani Kosorianzi, don't rotate over quick enough, and that's where you look to someone like a Zawadzki, a Sands, or Haggard to get involved.
His header did not get enough on it, so Tevez scooped it up with Meek. Ostrom couldn't win that battle down the wing. Goes out for a goal kick. Top of the NYCFC youth team. Well, their senior team's got a pretty big day tomorrow. 26th MLS Cup, 3 Eastern, noon Pacific on ABC and the ESPN app. Timbers against NYCFC from one of the hallowed grounds of American soccer, Providence Park. Portland looking for their 3rd cup in 7 years. NYCFC looking for their 1st in franchise history.
Always wanted to cut the wood.
Oh, yeah. Timber Joey.
Yep.
Yeah.
Fury for Georgetown, number 9, Marlon Zamora. He replaces number 13, Hagar.
Couple subs. Ilya Paul comes in. Elijah Paul, excuse me, comes in. Arizona native. He comes in for Gio Migaletti. Again, the goal scorer in the last match had a brace to put them through against St. Louis. Georgetown subs on Marlon Tabora. And had a hat trick himself against Providence in their 4-1 win in the 2nd game of this tournament. Tabora tries to scoop it up, doesn't get there in time. Scardina, back heel picked off. Tabora came in for Hagart. Ball goes out, goal kick. Crossing 10 o'clock on the East Coast here in Cary, North Carolina. 2nd semifinal of the 2021 College Cup alongside Devin Kerr. I'm Dallin Cuff, 0-0 through 30 minutes here at Salem Soccer Stadium. In the 1st game of the semifinals, Clemson took down ACC foe, fellow ACC foe, Notre Dame in penalties. It was 1-1 in the 1st half. That stayed the same way after 110 minutes, and in the end, Justin Malou final kick put the Tigers through to their 1st College Cup final for the 1st time since 2015. Their keeper, George Marks, was outstanding and made the critical save in the penalties, as well as saves in overtime to keep his team in the game. Devin, I think we both expected this, both coaches expected this to be an up and down transition game with a lot happening. Hold that thought for a second. Nope. It really hasn't panned out that way.
You know, they've equalized themselves in what their best assets are on the field. The lack of rotation on the outside and the way that traditionally the Hoyas like to build isn't there. Interestingly enough, defensively, they've locked themselves down at times into that flat 4-4-2, which is what you get out of the Washington Huskies and Jamie Clark's squad when they try and build. The 2 central midfielders haven't been on the ball that much. They don't commit a lot going forward. You'll see them sit deeper, especially with the way that the 2 outside backs like to attack, but they haven't got that going because of the fact that the 2 midfielders are sitting back. It's, you know, I mentioned in the Clemson Notre Dame game, those guys at certain points in time, they looked tentative. They were afraid to make a mistake. These guys just know they don't have that margin for error. It's not about being afraid to make a mistake. They just know where the biggest threats come from.
Oh, this was almost a threat. Elijah Paul just went at it. The Arizona native, part of the Barca Academy for a while, in the Real Salt Lake Academy. San Francisco transfer. Almost caught Nicopolitas off his line. Chris Lay got his first touch on the ball there, 23 in gray. Couldn't maintain possession. Chested down nice by Tevez. Paul wins a corner. Again, Washington dangerous on set pieces.
Towers that are, all 3 of them, haven't really mentioned Kendall Burst that much yet, but watch him as the target down on the back post. Lethal when given the opportunity to Shield Robin and Ryan Saylor. 3 different options you got to follow here in traffic.
Saylor right above the penalty spot, that long hair, 6'5" frame. Change ball back post. Burns can't keep it down.
The fans are trying to stay in it. They're asking for something, right?
Yep.
They want a little spark to get them going here.
It is funny, the first game with Clemson and Notre Dame I thought would be a more cagey affair. A good early goal would help that game, and it did. We got an early goal, 11th minute. Luis Felipe Fernandez Salvador scored. Jack Lynn equalized through the spot, almost given away there in the 21st minute. It's a very fun first half. I thought that would be a cagey game. This game would be up and down game, not the case. Pavara dispossessed. Close to Ramsey ran out of room. He pays it back to Pavara.
Every single time they look to play a ball, it's marked up.
Riviere almost brings it down. He does, and it's just wide. Great effort by the senior, and almost broke the deadline.
Charlie Ostrom gets away with one here. And he looked over the shoulder and then lost where the runner was coming from. And to be fair, it's just a really good take by Zach Riviere. That pace from that distance to drop that right in front of yourself and give yourself the opportunity to go on frame. Very difficult to do.
Gave the Georgetown crowd a little life behind the goal there. In response, the Huskies fans are about it right behind their bench. Come to their feet as well. Rocha dispossessed, but they're going to call a foul on Paul there.
Foul indicated against the Huskies.
The bigger concern here for Brian Weiss and the Hoyas is the lack of the ability to not just get Pulvar on the ball or Zawadzki, but together. I haven't seen them combine a lot here, and give a lot of credit to what's been going on the inside. But again, they like that right flank right now, one-on-one.
Swift tried to lay it to Zawadzki, but wasn't enough on it. Riviere's pass. Scardina's and Akers in space in front of us, but there's no way you're going to make that pass from there. And professional foul, or
That's your last warning.
that's what that is.
He just kept going and going. Good job pushing the tempo here. This is where they find success. You know, the initial touch coming up through the midfield. To your point, Scardina, acreage of real estate out in front of them. But there are also times, just because you can hit a ball doesn't mean you should.
Yeah.
And I've talked to you about that before, that's a really good look if you can get it over here. It's probably the most difficult look out of anything that you can play in front of you. So it's easier to just continue the movement in transition, because even if you do turn it over, you also reset your defensive line. And they've been pinned back a little bit here, where not overly threatened, but the Hoyas have been able to go side to side and get to reset yourself, push a little higher, and fight back.
Ball floated in. Paul tries to attack it. Scardina's going to put it back in the mixer. Nicopolitas well off his line. He corrals it. And he'll start it going quickly the other way. Looks his best distribution. Well done.
Oh, he's in.
Oh, great opportunity. But Burns read it well. Stojanovic was there. Marlon Tabora almost unlocked this thing on his own with that pass.
The way that he's been playing, Tabora, over the last 6 games, it does make you wonder a little bit why they haven't changed to having him in the 11. But to have the mental capacity to be that player that consistently comes off the bench, a lot of guys can't do that. So it can actually be more detrimental to take someone like Hagar. And I'm not saying that he's been bad, but you take someone like that who's used to being in the lineup, you put him on the bench, that can mess with their psyche.
Yeah.
As opposed to Tabora, who just continues to show up.
Again, Tabora had the hat trick in that Providence game. Hagar, conversely, hasn't scored in the campaign. And Brian Weiss was honest that we could use a little more from Hagar in the offensive third of things.
about Washington defensively. You just turn it into a 4-2-4. Two strikers drop in. Scardina's come high. Same thing for Lucas Meek on the outside. It's a lot of work off the ball. But again, you're removing the two best players from Georgetown, and that's the reason why they haven't had a lot of looks going forward.
Stoyanovich has to play back at the floor. Scardina lets it roll to Burns. Has it off the lay. Gets back to Pulvar. Zawadzki. Rocha.
I think these guys know each other. I mean, it's the flow between the two teams as you go one way or the other. They're mirror images. They're just tracking all the runners, and Brian Weiss and Jamie Clark, good friends for quite a long period of time. We talked about the influence of Jamie's father, Bobby, and what he's been able to do for the game in this country.
Sanders tries to bring it down off his chest. And kept in play. You mentioned Bobby obviously played at Aberdeen, great player there, but coaching. Coach Brian Weiss at Dartmouth, Stanford, Notre Dame. He's got his fingerprints all over this Final Four. More familial relations here. Ronan Dillo checks in, the freshman from West Hartford, Connecticut. That's him at 2. Then at 12 in the 2012 Cup, because his dad was one of the greatest players ever here. His mom went to Georgetown as well, but his dad top 10 in the school's history in terms of points and goals. His parents are both here. Ronan's grown up in this program. He's a little kid, as you just saw. Now he has a chance to play in his first college cup. Comes in for Stoyanovich. Washington also made a sub as well. Kai Briscoe comes in for Sorienzi, or for Scardina, excuse me. And coverage of the NCAA Championships continues. Men's College Cup Final Sunday, December 12th, 2 p.m. Eastern, ESPNU. Clemson will be playing the winner of this game here. For more information on the NCAA Men's College Cup, log on to ncaa.com, the official online home for all 90 NCAA championships. Bobby Clark obviously coached Notre Dame, as mentioned before. He coached Chad Riley, who's the Notre Dame coach now. Back in the late 2000s, that would be their only championship back in 2013. Ball goes out. Coached his son Jamie. Stanford, who's an All-American. Coached on the bench at Washington. Coached Brian Weiss at Dartmouth. And Weiss went, after becoming a mechanical engineer major, then went to Stanford and got his grad degree in mechanical engineering, which is bananas to me. And on the staff at Notre Dame. So this is the Bobby Clark influence. All these teams play differently. I was interested in the coaches both said we all play differently. But the values as being educators and teaching them the team first, the press first, and all the different values they learn, those are all within all these programs, all three of them.
Funny from a recruiting standpoint as well, how they go about it different ways. You still get quality product on the field. You got the UW team that, as you mentioned, takes so much pride in their city and the friendly confines around them. Georgetown, they're not shy. They want the best players in the country. They want the national team prospects, the guys who are going to be, those top 10 players and draft picks and what have you.
Well, that was interesting too. Yeah, Jamie Clark says we don't want great players. We just don't. We want guys that want to be here for multiple years and grow here, and we want guys that fit us and have that like local flavor more than just taking. We don't want top 10 recruiting classes. We want top 10 players, or top 10 guys.
Yep.
They develop into Georgetown. Brian, we said, hey, we want great players too. We don't necessarily want one and dones. We want guys that want to be pros, but maybe over a couple of years, like this guy Dante Polvara. But we want guys that want to be here and be part of the program. So in that regard, it's somewhat the same, but very different in terms of who they're targeting at a young age.
Given the way the college landscape is too, because of a lot of these guys and their affiliations at the youth level. Talked about the NYCFC players and what they've been able to do in their career so far. At any given moment, those clubs can come calling, and so you have to set yourself up if you're a coach where Jacob Montez, midfielder of the year in the Big East, he takes off, gets the opportunity to go across the pond with Crystal Palace on loan, of course, now, but if he leaves, who's next up? Well, the understudy was Dante Polvara.
Yeah.
Right now, his understudy, Joe Buck. So there is a line of sequence there that does give you the opportunity, if someone steps off, to still have success. But to your point, the question is whether or not those guys are actually bought in. 100% yes for Georgetown over the past couple of years.
No doubt they've become an absolute powerhouse in the national landscape, the expectations. Becoming a blue blood, if you will. Polvara tries to dink it over to Riviera. 20 seconds left. And Meek's got some space. Over to Tevez with 10. He's got space.
8, 7, 6, 5, 4.
Balls for Soto. First time shot.
1.
And we go into the break 0-0.
Given the way the first half went down, with that matchup on the right-hand side, if Washington's willing to say...
So these styles make fights. Let's see what we have in the second 45. We're underway. Matt Thompson is our center official. Second half here of the second semifinal of the College Cup. 0-0. Will the deadlock be broken between these two teams that met back in the 2019 quarterfinals? A lot of these players, 13, actually played in that game total. 7 for the Huskies, 6 for the Hoyas. Maybe a chance here for Lucas Meek, who was one of the starters in that game back in 19 when Washington fell to Georgetown on their field in Washington, D.C. 1-0. Georgetown was down. They ended up winning that game 2-1. Second corner of the match for Washington. 18 set-piece goals for Washington in the last 18 games. They can be deadly. Watch Ryan Saylor, number 4, the big center back. Swinging ball. Out of contact. Kendall Burns went down. Matt Thompson says no penalty. Kieran Sargent spins out of some trouble. Turnover early, looking for Meek. Nicopolitas comes off in flames. Chris Haggard back in the match. If you're new to college soccer, you can sub out in the second half and make a return appearance. So when you see young men file off, their day is not done. John Zawadzki, defensive player of the year in the Big East, skips around the challenge. He's got options. Riviere ahead out to Will Sands. Haggard in space behind him. Sands back to Haggard, flips it in off ahead. One of the times the Hoyas looked more dangerous in this game going forward right there.
One of the brightest lights that we saw in the first half for Georgetown was Zach Riviere on the right-hand flank, and they weren't exactly overly happy with the two outside midfielders and just their ability to really challenge the shape of Washington. They did leave Riviere in, though. They just brought him on the left and expect him to come in a lot more than we saw out of Deleuze. Defensively, it does open you up in certain areas, but to Jamie Clark's point about his team, same rings true for the Georgetown Hoyas. At some point in time, and I said this at halftime, you got to take a chance. You want to go win a game, you want to get an opportunity to be the best in college soccer. You got to showcase yourself to the next level, and that means you got to roll the dice here and there.
There's Brian Weiss hoisted that 2019 championship. Only the 3rd team title in Georgetown history, which I found rather shocking. National title. Ball steps up on it. It's collided with his teammate. Back out to Zawadzki. Alanaris. Skips around the defender, try to put a low ball in. Third team all Big East. Kieran Sargent, the freshman in the game for Daniel Wu. Wu, a local center back product in Cary, North Carolina, out injured in the semifinal of the Big East tournament. Sargent is deputized well at that center back spot. Wu, a veteran that played in that 2019 team, scored a goal in the final as well against UVA. Now, Devin, I know you called that final. 3-3 game, UVA 7-6 on penalties. One of the wildest College Cup games ever.
Still get my voice back. 2 years later, I mean, you know, a lot of these games that you can come out of and go, that team was much better, that team was much better. You know, this was kind of boring. There was nothing in that game that I could look back on and go, that wasn't good. Yeah. High level throughout the entirety of the match. And guys like Daryl DK, United States men's national team, Joe Bell goes and plays overseas. And at one point in time,
Henry Kessler.
Yeah, Henry Kessler, center back, New England Revolution. Gelnevach said to me, like at one point in time, there were 6 or 7 Generation Adidas players on that field.
Wow. It was a great, in Georgetown obviously had, mentioned Montez earlier, Derek Dodson, I mean, Rio Hogun. There was just so many good players on both those teams. And we'll see if we'll have a final like that. Clemson against the winner of this game on Sunday, but right now, these two teams got to break the deadlock first. The first game did go to penalties. Good challenge by Riviere. He's been a bright spot looking for Stojanovic, who lost his footing. Rocha over to Haggard.
This is the area that Brian Weiss was talking about in the first half. Just got to speed up the rapidity of play. When the angles are there, just up the tempo a little bit more. Space at the top of the 18. No one steps into it. They don't click coming back across. It's the bread and butter for the Hoyas all season long, and just a bit off their game here tonight.
Nice use of rapidity, though. Well done.
You can't add. Spell good.
SAT words.
Yeah.
Verisimilitude.
Mom would be so proud 20 years later.
Take a look at the championship history here. Washington, first time they've ever got to this point. First College Cup appearance. Hoyas' second time in the last 3 years. As you mentioned, 2019. They lost in the quarterfinals last year to Marshall, the eventual champions. They won the cup here. And Clemson looking for their third national title, first since 1987. However, they did get to the 15 final under the same coach they have now, Mike Noonan. But they fell 4-0 to a Stanford team with Jordan Morris and a bunch of other studs. But now a chance to climb the top of the mountain. Lucas Meek brings it down. Gio Miglietti. Soto. Dylan Tevez. Soto, there's got numbers in the box. Looking for Scardina, but overhit it.
We should hit this.
Little Jermaine Jones angle right there.
2 yards out. No one's stepping to you. It's also the playmaking ability you get out of a crafty little midfielder.
Soto, the sophomore from Iowa. US U17 camps he was called into in his younger days. Pac-12 honorable mention, 19 first team last year.
Some of those chances, by the way. Let's see what they do with Charlie Ostrom at outside back. Interesting listening to Jamie Clark kind of talk about the player. And, you know, you mentioned all Pack and the numbers that he put up last year was most assists this school had seen since the 1998 season and the run that they were in, and it was his willingness to take chances. He hasn't taken as many this year, and you know, within that, you kind of get the two-headed spear, right? Okay, yes, he's going to produce a lot on the offensive side, but there's going to be mistakes as well. So the good news is since he hasn't stepped out, none of those mistakes have poked their head out. The bad news is when Meek comes to the inside, there's nobody else down here in the channel to overlap on the run.
Meek on the ball. 1v1 with Rocha. Plays it in. Dangerous, and it curls in! I don't know if Miglietti, he's not claiming it, so Meek is! And the patent celebration is about to commence in the corner. The Dogs are going to pile. 1-0. The Huskies are up.
No chances needed when Lady Luck helps out. Lucas Meek one-on-one. It was good combination play, but as it comes back to the outside, he's just quickly putting this into the mixer and letting someone run onto it. Miglietti making the run to the near post. Put it in a danger area and hope that something special can happen. Center back gets in the way, can't really do anything. If you're on the back line for the Hoyas, it's just a mistake. Goalkeeper can't get to it either. Nielsen a bit off, but it's all going right here at the start of the second half for the Huskies.
Meek gets his 4th goal of the campaign, 16th of his career. For the second team all Pac-12 performer this year. Missed a chunk of time from September 3rd to October 31st. He was out. Back in the lineup now. Didn't start this match. He was played the lion's share of the minutes. And a little bit of a fortuitous bounce. Not much Kenny Nielsen, the defender for Georgetown, could do there. I'm not sure. They are crediting the goal with Meek. So they're saying Nielsen did not get a touch on it. But let's see Georgetown's response. Been here before. Oh, quick turn the other way. Matt Thompson says no foul. We'll take another look at this because that looked like Will Sands got upended.
He's saying no way, no way. The cut back across. Is there actual contact? I'll tell you what, there looked to be a little bit of a nudge on the leg. You have to give Sands a bit of credit because he sells it. Drags that right knee behind him. Little cut across on the center back. Referee knew he was looking for it. There's a tackle. The game's opening up now.
This Georgetown team went down 1-0 to WVU, and a quick card coming out now for Polvara. He goes into Matt Thompson's book. They were down 1-0 to WVU on their own field. They battled back to tie that up and win in penalties. Take a look. I mean,
you know what? Slowed down like that, it's the right decision.
No pen, really.
Watch the left leg. Pulls out.
Okay.
If you give it, for me as a referee, I'm not calling that. If you give it, I can understand. I just agree with the no call because of the fact that the striker is looking for the contact. The touch has already come back across. The one leg has already started the movement, and you're dragging to try and create it. Now, there's contact, but you're also initiating it.
Well explained by you, because I think a lot of people watching it have said, well, I've seen that given a lot of times. But you're right, that it's not given. It's not a stone-cold pen. So we're moving forward here. Now Washington chance to serve the ball in. Poor cross. This Renzi working and then gets upended. No call. Runs out of real estate. Let's take a look at the goal. And Lucas Meek.
There's good coverage. Look at Polvara tracking. One-on-one situation. Aiden Rocha. And just as this gets flung back in, Kenny Nielsen is on the backside. Runners coming back across. And it's almost like he just loses his footing. He goes up deciding to use his knee or his foot to actually get to the ball. One as a center back, from a mental standpoint, you almost have the decision made up in your mind as the action's coming towards you. And it's like jumping before the ball even gets there. And you could have easily gotten there with your head. Yeah. Right? And instead, you're forcing your own action ahead of time. And you would like him to react in that situation instead.
Chavez on the ball, charging forward. 1v6. Maintains possession, well, for a second. Shield Robin heads it down to Kendall Burns.
Good ball.
Tevez in the channel, cuts it back, looking for Miglietti. Wilson this time got his head on it.
This is where they get you, though. They grab the 1-goal lead, they don't stop. They just continue to go. And look at all the numbers starting to come forward. Now everybody wants a piece of this game.
Miglietti on the ball in the box. Lays it off. Close to Rienzi. Tevez. Shot blocked. Inside by Scardina. Ostrom. Shot! Oh my gosh! Charlie Ostrom! What a goal from the junior! His second of the season, and he's never going to forget that! Dog pile, part 2!
We told you it was the most school assists last season since 1998. Spoiler, this ain't it. Some kind of strike for Charlie Ostrom. The best that this team is they just continue to apply pressure. It's wave after wave of attack, but better in terms of balance. They go side to side, they stretch the game vertically. As they come, Scardina comes all the way back across, said he could be a game changer, but we ask for more out of the outside back. Much higher line, the cut back to the inside on the unfavorited right foot. Nobody challenges him. Easy enough for him to pick out his 7th collegiate goal.
3 minutes and 11 seconds between goals. Giannis Nicopolidis can't believe it. Brian Weiss's team's down 2-0 like that. And we'll see what they're trying to do, making a few changes now. Couple substitutions. Marlon Tabora's on the match, the hat-trick hero back from the Providence game in this tournament. Tabora comes in, Stefan Stojanovic comes off. Like for like with the strikers. Ante Povar riding a challenge. All right, Devin, you got 33 minutes to go. What does Georgetown need to do to get back in this thing?
It'll run out of number 1. It's going to do 2 things for you. It'll start to give you some confidence and help create some opportunities going forward. More importantly, it's going to push back these waves that you're seeing out of the Huskies. You got to reset your numbers coming up, compress the field a bit more, and give yourself a fighting chance here so that you're not going 80 yards down.
Sands goes down again, and this is gonna draw a card. And that's Scardina going into the book.
Interesting to note, by the way, in that conversation with Weiss leading up to this game, we talked about tactics and this, that, and the other. And he said, there are going to be goals in this game. There's no doubt about it. So I looked at my guys and I said, how many goals would it take to beat Georgetown? They said 3, and he goes, we got to score 3. There's your answer right there, down 2-0. Plenty of talent and plenty of time. But they got to get it going somehow.
Knew there would be goals. Again, Washington, 4th in the nation in goals per game, 2.67. Georgetown's been better in the defensive end this year. 7th in the nation in goals against average, 0.698. Not easy to get goals on it, but there have been 2 marked already in the first 13 minutes of this half. Deborah takes it. Called it in. Might fall for Riviere, but Nielsen didn't leave it for him. Back to Sargent. Does he put it into the mixer? No, he plays Rocha. He'll put it in, and that'll go out for a throw. Joe DeLuz came back in the match for Kyle Linares at the last break.
Riviere back to this new touchline. The favorited right side that we saw him semi-successful on in the first half.
Zawatsky, good touch to Riviere. Back to Zawatsky. Skipping around. And back being cleared out. Rocha looking for the big switch to Sands. Luz gets it back and play to Pulvara. Two-time midfielder of the year in the Big East, currently one of the Matt Herman semifinalists. Number 15, for the second time in a row, second year in a row. National Player of the Year award, that is. Sargent, center back, stepping forward. Sargent continues his run. Numbers in the box, low ball played in. DeLuz may be able to keep it in, he does. Great run, recovery by Zawadzki. He's taken down. Poor pass by Haggard.
The ball's got to be in front of Pulvara. You're asking him to pull his right leg behind him and drag it coming forward.
Unless you're Kareem Benzema, it's hard to do. Lucas Meek. Got one goal. Oh, Meek, hey now. Gets his cross off. Maybe that was a shot, I don't know, shot or a pass, but it looked dangerous.
He likes it one-on-one. And speed off his injury earlier this season. That was apparent, but still. Crafty little player. Sort of see the ideas from the Hoyas starting to matriculate, coming in the other direction. Problem is it's still got to be faster. The tempo. People hear the word tempo down and they think that the game's going to open up and be a million miles an hour. It's not the case. It's the actual quickness of which you're willing to play. You don't have to go end to end and do 120 whatever it is in 15 seconds. However, every single time you're on the ball, it's just got to be quicker, right? The second that you take a second, a third, a fourth touch, you're allowing the team on the other side of you to reset themselves defensively, and you just make it a lot easier. That's really what plagued Georgetown in the first half. They didn't take advantage of the opportunities when they were in front of them. And now the second half here, we've seen some moments where Pulvara is willing to step up a little bit, but they're off. The ball that was 90 seconds, 120 or go. Good little combination, drag behind him. Everybody starts to get a little bit slower, and the next thing you know, that great build that you saw is gone.
Rocha down the heap, right in front of us too. Now you see the divots in the pitch. The pitch looks pristine except for where that action just took place. There's chunks out of it and a chunk out of Rocha.
On the play to Washington, number 33, Lucas Meek.
Meek's in the book at the 62nd minute mark. Second yellow issued for UW.
Well, 9-iron taken out here.
Yeah,
I mean, he knows. He also knows that if he doesn't step in, Soto was pretty high on the line in the midfield. Space was open on this left-hand flank. We'll take him off now. Work done there. Goal on the card. I call that a complete effort. It's in my book.
I know you're proud of him as Meek makes way. Imanol Rosales, sophomore from Mexico, who started the match, comes back in. Rosales is part of the U18 Mexico setup. Querétaro, Mexico. Club made famous when Ronaldinho went there a couple years ago. Should say made globally famous, known in this part of the world better. Rocha's pass wayward. Nice turn by Haggard. Anyway, the challenge. Out to Sands. Number of gray jerseys in the box. Looking for one. Riviere's there, heads it down. Ping pongs around. Back to Fowler. Ooh. Out for a corner. Second in the match. Next goal in this game is going to be decisive. If the Hoyas can get it, we got ourselves a whole new situation.
Kalani walked over to his goalkeeper after this. Just, hey, my bad. Didn't realize you weren't looking.
It's a definite my bad situation.
Georgetown junior team to be handled by number 9, Marlon Tabora.
Tabora to take. Driven ball. Kieran Sargent, that was say ambitious from the freshman center back.
Heading shot taken by number 16, Kieran Sargent.
Good game coming up. Good game going on right now. Just hours from now, we've got MLS Cup final, the 26th edition. We play tomorrow, 3 Eastern, noon Pacific on ABC and the ESPN app. Portland Timbers against NYCFC from Providence Park, one of the best venues in our country. Portland looking for their 3rd title in 7 years after taking down RSL. And NYCFC took down Philadelphia to get to the final, their first ever. Also took down the New England Revolution in route there. Thought we were looking, I think a lot of college coaches almost wanted to see the Revs get there to help prove out the model, because there are so many pathways to the pros. And some teams, like the Revs, have invested in a lot of young college players. They won the Supporters Shield. Couldn't get it done, though.
It's amazing what happens if you get a month off. It's not their fault. I mean, they were that good, setting records left and right. But, there is something to be said about repetitive patterns when these guys know it all too well. Playing games every 3 days. The semifinals on a Friday. Final going to be Sunday afternoon. You're looking at 36, 40 hours recovery. But the other part of that is when you don't play regular games, chemistry's off. And just your movements, you're one step slow in certain areas. Definitely got Revolution in trouble.
Agard in a little bit of space, combining. Tabora tried to dink it over the top, doesn't get there. Zawadzki plays it back out. Agard again, is in trouble. Sargent, that's your center back, operating up in the 18.
That's a different look, you asked me, that you get at it, having Sargent on as opposed to Daniel Wu. They attack a little bit differently on the left side because of it. You can't take as many chances, but Sargent will step up too. And when he goes, you see he's not afraid to challenge. As he steps up into it, someone from Washington has to come to him. And a couple of times we've seen him connect.
Getting end line, driven ball in by Sands, another corner. 3rd of the match, here we go. Under 25 minutes, Hoyas starting to apply more consistent pressure.
These boys aren't as big though. There's not even twin towers. Really got a triage on the back line for Washington Huskies. Really the biggest player that you have at your option right now is Polvara, right around the penalty mark.
He's marked tightly by Kendall Burns. Conference fullback. Low ball. Almost skips through to Polvara. There's a lot of appeals for handball. None given. You saw a lot of Hoyas players. They're still on Matt Thompson right now about it. In the supporter section, Hoya Blues were behind the goal as well, letting Matt Thompson hear about it. Burns controls. Back to Robin. Dispossessed. Oh, Tabora's touch was heavy. Saylor recovers. Saylor's down. And in pain. You don't want to see that. That's the defensive player of the year in the conference. And a Matt Herman semifinalist on the deck right now. We're going to take a look at Saylor. We are going to get back to the handball complaint, but you see some of the players saying, get the training staff out here. You don't want that, but take a look.
Just comes down really hard on the shoulder. Tabora trying to make a play on the ball. There's no real malintent there from Tabora. You can see he walked over immediately. My bad.
It's the worst part. He just clipped him. He didn't mean to do it.
And here's the thing about it too. We're taught not to speculate. And I'm not speculating here. I've fallen exactly like that. Now the fact that he's a bit more active now in his movements. Before he wouldn't touch at all, but I've fallen exactly like that. And a lot of times when you see a player come down that way and put their arm across, that's a collarbone. Now because he's rolling around a bit more than he was in the opening couple of seconds, that's a good sign for sure. but it's that driving motion down into the ground, pushing away from the body. Collarbone and shoulder are the ones that immediately jump out. And that's not a collarbone movement like that.
Well, Dr. Kerr is here, but this is this young man's career too. He's a super senior, it's his 6th year, but in his first 4 years, he hardly played. I mean, you take a look at this young man. He redshirted twice, played 3 minutes in 2017, and then 13 matches total through his first 4 years, and then his career has taken off. Back-to-back all-league player. He's up and walking now. He's a Matt Herman semifinalist, defensive player of the year in the conference. It's great to see him up. We'll see if he can get back in the game. Tabora dapping up, saying, hey, my bad, but let's take a look at the handball appeal before. The first time we get to see this.
The angle that we had. Ooh. Even if that does, here's the problem is, even if this does hit his arm, look where it is next to his body. Yeah. That's not only is it not far away from the torso, it's even moving back in towards it. So it does connect off the arm. But everybody that sees the contact, you have to remember the unnatural body position. If that arm was flailing away, you could point to the spot in a heartbeat. But the proximity much closer, and he's already bringing it back to the inside.
You saw, actually, Burns trying to move his head toward the ball, too. I don't think there's any intent there. And now there is a sub. Nate Jones, the freshman, coming in. His 12th appearance on the campaign. He played the spring season as well as a freshman, so it's his 20th appearance in his career, which is important, obviously, when you're trying to protect a 2-0 lead and you've got your senior All-American on the sidelines. We'll see how James Jones does tossed into this high-intensity environment with how long he plays, given where Saylor's at.
You could just read the lips there of Saylor, and he said, felt my shoulder pop. It definitely popped.
He's a doctor. He's a lip reader. He's a soccer player. He's Devin Kerr.
Tell my wife that. She's at home going, God, I wish you would stop talking. You gave him a mic and you pay him?
I'm about to say, I have the same sentiments in my casa. Stoyanovich just checked back in the match for Riviere. Moving Tabora more out to the wide right side. 23 minutes to go. Georgetown was starting to build a little momentum until the last few minutes. Sanders going. Sargent didn't realize that. Hoya Sacks a chance still going on for these Georgetown fans despite the 2 goals within 3 minutes for Washington in the second half. Lucas Meek and Charlie Ostrom. Ostrom's goal is going to be replayed for years in College Cup lore because that was a beauty from about 25 yards out. Curling, bending around Nicopolitis. Give him a 2-0 advantage. Sargent striding forward. Rosales. Dispossessed easy by Tabora. Stoyanovich circles back to Hagard.
Just a little look over the shoulder there for Deleuze, wondering where Sands was. He's tired. He's put a lot of miles on the odometer on that left-hand side. He isn't able to make as many runs as we saw in the first half.
Ball flipped in back post. Hagard was going to try to line up a fantastic strike on a volley, but couldn't come together. We actually just saw Ryan Saylor run into the tunnel underneath us into the locker room, so he's not coming back in the immediate term with the trainer. We'll see if he comes back out. As of now, it's Nate Jones' spot, the center back. Laid off for Polvara. Out to Tabora. Cuts it back. Shot. Save. Fowler. Big time play when they needed it.
Defensively, this team is so good, but you still got to have that goalkeeper that's willing to step up when needed. And Sam Fowler, how does he get his hand on this thing? I mean, there's some kind of move Tabor puts on the ball. Catches it, oh so true. No rotation on it whatsoever, and the goalkeeper with 4 bodies in front of him, able to pluck this out of thin air.
Tabor, the sophomore, born in Honduras. His father is the U.S. ambassador to Honduras. You see Dylan Tevez went down to the top of the box. He's walking off the pitch now, so they're going to be, I would say they're going to be down to 10, but they're not. There's a sub awaiting. I believe it's Paul. Yep. In comes Elijah Paul, the freshman, back in the match. So we're all even at 11v11. A scoop pass over the top and headed back out for another corner. 5th of the match. In swinging ball, drops at the 6. Sawatsky was trying to get there on the backside but couldn't. Keeps it in play. Good hustle by him. Sargent, does he put it back in the mixer? No, he waits. Sawatsky was off and didn't even play it. More subs getting set to come in for Washington. And you see Kai Briscoe coming in for Nick Scardina. Good turn by Polvara. Trying to skip by some challengers, can't do it. Goes to Rienzi, tried to put it to Paul's feet. Agard falls. Briscoe. Under 19 minutes to go in the second semifinal of the night. Cary, North Carolina, alongside Devin Kerr. I'm Dallin Cuff. 2-0. Washington is up over Georgetown. First time the Huskies have ever been in the College Cup in their history. Chance to punch their ticket to Sunday's final. Sunday, 2 p.m. Eastern. ESPNU against Clemson, who won the first semifinal of the night against Notre Dame. UW scored 2 goals in 3 minutes. 54th minute and 57th minute. Nick Scardina. Lucas Meek and Charlie Ostrom were the goal scorers, and that's where we are right now. Big East champs, the 2019 College Cup champs, Georgetown, in trouble. Devin, if at one point you start to really either change things tactically or personnel-wise to really try to get a second goal here?
They won't change, and that's one of the best things about Georgetown is they believe in their process. They're not a team that hits the panic button because they've been in these spots before. They understand that in order to be successful, you have to continue to put one foot in front of the other, as you have all season long. The previous year, you made it to the Elite Eight. 2019, when you won the College Cup. If you start to move too many pieces, you get yourself into trouble, at least from a tactical standpoint. That is one of the biggest differences, in my opinion, from a statistical standpoint, between that 19 squad and this squad. That 19 squad had 20 different players with 20 or more appearances. They don't rotate as much here, and there is some fatigue starting to come out. If you watch Sawatsky, he's actually just pulling on his lower back right now. He's not stepping as high. Will Sands, less active on the left. You ask so much of these guys, and in games like this, when it does open up, they make the extra runs. 15, 20 minutes to go. It's not as easy for them to overextend like we saw early on in the match.
Sawatsky's big switch looking for Sands did not come off there. And UW running into traffic in the midfield. Again, these two teams met in that 2019 Cup run for Georgetown in the quarterfinals. 7 guys in the Washington team right now played in that match. 6 guys the Hoyas team played in that match. And to the Hoyas, this didn't really matter in terms of vengeance. But to the Huskies, those players were really clear to us yesterday that this is the chance to really rectify what happened in 19 on even a bigger stage now, the Final Four, the College Cup versus the Elite 8. And that's where they are. They put themselves in a position up 2-0. Georgetown's average just under 17 shots a game in the tournament. They're at 4 right now. Why is that, Devin? What has Washington done so well?
The defensive shape that's really been present all game long is sit deep, keep the runners in front of you. When the pressure starts to come offensively from Georgetown, if you watch, nobody really steps out and goes to try and win a ball. They let the game come to them. But because of the fact that you have so much support around you, if the ball gets by the outside left midfielder,
can I run around the field right now? I don't have.
You're really still in a one-on-one situation where a striker or a midfielder is matched up with the outside back. Same thing on the inside. So it goes from one player to the next, and it's been a really good job on the backside by the 2 center backs. That man right there being one of them, Ryan Saylor, coming out of the locker room. Good to see him in that shoulder wrap of just telling the guys, shift left, shift right, up 5 yards, back to your right shoulder. The communication is what's kept them in here. And so you don't have your 2 best players in Zawadzki and Povar regularly combining. I said to you, in order to have success, it has to come down to those 2 guys. And yet as we watch the rest of this game, it's really hard to talk about any moments where they've been super effective.
Will Sands down again. He was at a dead sprint. Briscoe's got a ton of pace and slid in there in a tough challenge. Let's take another look.
Just watch that right foot right there. Up underneath him, got a touch on the ball. 2 guys just trying to make a play on this.
But is that not a foul? You can't take them. I mean, it's a 2-footed challenge. A lot of man, much ball.
The argument in that situation is subjective because of the viewpoint of the referee. Where is the referee in location to where the ball is? Because his vision may see that coming from a horizontal standpoint, not from that restricted view that we just saw. If you come from a negative side on that tackle, you're always going to get in trouble. Book says you can't come from a restricted position and make a tackle. And they talk about goals changing games. A couple arguments for Georgetown Hoyas here within the first half. Little spin by Stojanovic. No penalty. Great turn by him. Come back across here. Again, could they call a pen? Yes. The fact that they didn't, I actually celebrate it. I think it's the right call by the referee. Sands looking for the contact. And this one coming off the handball by the outside back, Kendall Burks. The arm is next to the body, and it's also moving back towards the torso. Referee had a real good look at it. I'm sure that Hoya fans will be a little upset when nothing was called, but the correct decision.
Matt Thompson, the man in the middle tonight. And with the first game, too, I will say this. Both the games have been reffed consistently, and that's really all you can ask for. So we'll see if Sands, the junior from Rye, New York, can shake it off. And just to remind you, coverage of the NCAA Championships continues. The Men's College Cup Sunday, December 12th, 2 p.m. Eastern on ESPNU. Clemson playing the winner of this match right now. For more information on the NCAA Men's College Cup, log on to NCAA.com, the official online home for all 90 NCAA championships.
There's the one thing we can say as you see the dejected look from Giannis Nicopolidis.
Yeah.
I mean, there's not really much he could do on either one of the goals. The second one, everything that you've seen out of Charlie Ostrom is ball whipped in with his left foot, strike with his left foot, and when he cuts inside, he distributes to someone else. If he makes that play 100 times, maybe once he lets that thing fly. Now, to be fair, nobody stepped up into the space to challenge him, but Nicopolidis, you're asking for a world-class save from a really good goalkeeper, and he just couldn't get to it. The one tactical change I will say, we've talked about the differences between that 19 team and this team for the Georgetown Hoyas. That 19 team, they had more of a tendency to sit one midfielder underneath and bump 3 in front. So I talked about boxing the midfield, recreating the number 10 type role in the aggregate with 4 players. If you lead Zawadzki underneath, now you have 3 presences on the inside instead of 1 or 2. That's going to be much harder for the Washington Huskies to chase.
Lucas Meek checks back in the game for Rosales. Meek is on a goal scorer, but he is on a yellow too, as they try to close out this game with just over 14 minutes to go. Thompson's trying to fix the clock right now. That could be an issue. Goes out of the Husky supporter section. They've been on their feet most of the second half. That long cross-country trip from Seattle here to Cary, North Carolina.
Imagine that pregame cocktail party.
I'm imagining they're all very well lubricated with the late 8:30, 9. Well, it was about a 9 o'clock, 9:30 kickoff because of the overtime and the penalties. It was 9:30 Eastern time in the first matchup. And Paul almost won a corner, but not quite. Dylan Tevez checked back in the match for Gio Migoletti. 8 for 9 on the program. Or 9 for 8, I should say. Deleuze stepping forward, trying to combine with Tabora. Tevez looking for Paul. Rocha comes over, covers, and gets it out for a corner. Third of the match for the Huskies. Jamie Clark just under 13 minutes away from getting the first College Cup final in this Washington program history. Swinging ball, back post. Burns gets a head on it. Goes out, touch, or a goal kick. And great soccer games all weekend across the ESPN family of networks and platforms. Great game in La Liga, the Madrid derby. Real Madrid, league leaders in La Liga, taking on Madrid, taking on Atleti. 2:50 Eastern on Sunday. A big game in that league, and I'm sure all Madrid fans, both Real and Atleti, enjoying Barcelona's demise right now. They sit deep mid-table right now, getting shellacked by Bayern midweek, out of the Champions League, into the Europa League. Great game, 2:50 Eastern, but Huskies coming along looking for more. 12 minutes to go.
They've made that adjustment. Sawatsky center circle by himself, the lone 6. It removes the ability to really stack your two midfielders and play off of each other. The problem is you really haven't had that all game long anyway. You know, a couple of finite moments. Brian Weiss talked about that at halftime. Got to get them on the ball more, and the decision making had to be more clear cut. Well, we've seen that in certain instances. The attacking presence still not there. Look at all the numbers right now. Every single Husky wearing a jersey on the field right now was just 25 yards from their own net. Resilient, even though up 2-0. Just dig down in, and they'll concede it at this point in time. Just outside 10 minutes to go. Keep the ball in front of you just like you did in the first half. There's no need whatsoever to take any more chances. Just shut the game down.
Kenny Nielsen in front of us, the center back, is struggling and stretching. See if he can keep it going. Ball played in. Riviera arriving, and it's in! Fowler couldn't keep it out! They've had the deficit, and the Hoyas are alive! What a ball played in, and what a finish!
It's the first time this season, too, that the Huskies have conceded after going up by 2 goals. They get out in front, they stay out in front. But this ball whipped into the back post. He was the best player on the offensive side of the ball in the first half. The late trailing runs, the one that came off the chest, everything came down to Riviere. But watch him step back through if you're Fowler. Can't get his hand set, body coming back to the left. As an attacker, you just want to put this on frame, challenge the movement of the goalkeeper, Mistake by Fowler and fortune for Riviere.
Kenny Nielsen checks out. Riviere's 5th goal of the campaign, 2nd of the NCAA tournament. He scored against Georgia State. And now there is some shuffling on the back line for Georgetown as Nielsen went out. Dominic De Almeida comes in. He'll play it right back. He'll move Adam Rocha into the center back spot for Nielsen. The I believe we can win chant is starting. Ryan Saylor's checked back in the center back for the Huskies. He's okay after that shoulder injury. That was a handball not called. Blatant one, too. On Robin. And things are getting tight here, Devin Kerr.
Speed change on the back line, though. De Almeida coming in. They'll push both instead of the rotation of Justice Sands and sit 3 on the back line. Now you've got 2 that are super capable on the ball, and Sargent and Rocha, but you'll see both outside backs come much higher. And how are you going to react now if you're the Huskies? Because there's going to be a lot more ball movement. You know, the belief that you now have the ability to go chase this game much more apparent for the Hoyas.
Kieran Sargent got that assist. We talked about the center back getting forward. He put that ball in. Riviere capitalized. And they've got 9.5 minutes to push this thing maybe to an extra frame. Thompson says no foul, but it goes out for a Husky throw. And Will Sands just been up and down, marauding up and down that left flank like Steve Cherundolo, if you will. Limping around a bit now. Very rarely does a Cherundolo reference not get picked up by you or not get commented on.
No,
but you're locked in. You're locked in. I got you.
I heard it.
Look, I don't want to hear. I only hear about some of the greatest players in men's national history.
One of my personal favorites.
We're hearing now. Pulvara on the ball. His head's up. Oh, that's a dangerous ball played in. Stojanovic says there was a touch. No. Whoa.
That's why he's the Big East midfielder of the year, Dante Pulvara. Even though he maybe hasn't been in his best all night long, that's the glimpse that he gives you. Just ping this thing to the back post. Still haven't seen a lot out of the 9, though. Stojanovic. Last time he hit pay dirt, Big East final. 2 goals for him. Quiet ever since. Can say the same tonight.
I feel like he didn't really make a play on the ball.
He just stopped running.
Yeah. Ziglietti comes in the game for Paul. Tevez on it. Scardino. Lucas Meek opened the goal scoring in this second half. Dispossessed. Sawatsky. We're under 8 minutes to go. Georgetown's only scored 3 goals in the final 10 minutes of regulation throughout the course of this season. They're going to need a 4th to keep the season going.
The problem is somebody look at those numbers and think it's hard for them to get it done. They've never had to. You know, they're usually on cruise control making other teams chase because they're sitting on a lead inside 10 minutes of play.
Ball for Stojanovic. No, back to Fowler. No rush to get it go back and play. Fowler goes right to the feet of Zawatsky, but he just couldn't control it. Miglietta in a little pocket of space. Tracked down by Zawatsky. What a tackle. And that's why he's Defensive Player of the Year in the Big East. De Almeida, sophomore, he just came on for the injured Kenny Nielsen. Sargent. Scoops it forward. Odegaard eventually ran out of room and Stojanovic played him a black pass. looking for Sands. Great ball. A little too much on it. He's able to keep it in play.
Be real careful here for the Huskies. You don't want to just knock the ball back to them. And it's one thing to hit the reset button, push a little bit higher. It's a whole nother to consistently just feed this thing right back into the belly of the beast.
Switched out to the goal scorer, Riviere. It's down Hopple's face. Maintains possession of under 5. Sub coming in. Nielsen's going to come back in the match. This time for Sargent. Freshman that had the assist. That moves Rocha over to left center back position. He went right back, right center back, no, left center back as Nielsen's on. Touches, turned it over to Tabora.
You got to go beat someone now. It's not just how quick you can play the ball. There's too many one-on-one battles right now that Georgetown's shying away from. You're going a lot side to side, and as you try and break these lines here, that's a foul.
Now Thompson waited. He was going to let it play advantage, but he will stop the clock too. Under 4 minutes to play.
To the point, we'll cut back across. Jovanovic, Alvara, Tabora, everybody trying to get involved here. You got to go win this battle though, Dowling, and we haven't seen them do that successfully here in the second half. You can have all the possession in the world, but it's what you do with it. Dead ball situations, a lot of talented individuals. Remember, Jacob Montez, second half, inside 15 minutes to go. He's the one who got the comeback going in that Elite 8 game back in 2019 en route to their first ever start. Left-footed Tabora. Spicy from 30 yards out.
This could be an opportunity. You've got Hagart and Tabora over it. Tabora releases. Hagart plays it in. Back post. A big back line. Oh, the Huskies came in huge there. Well played by Rocha, but then turned over. Nielsen has to pull out of it. There's options. He's got Tevez on the right. That's the hat-trick hero from early in the tournament. He's got 2 hatties in the tourney. He'll pull in the brakes, though. 3:30 left. Scardina back to Tevez. Will he head for the corner? And the foul is called. Hagart is incensed. Clock is still running. Or Matt Thompson can choose to stop it, and he finally does. 20 seconds just leaked off there.
I was surprised, especially with the ball being knocked away by Hagart at the end of it, that he didn't stop it sooner. Now you play the corner game. Step on it, play keep away. He's asking for Miglietti to come closer. Give you a numbers advantage, and then no chances needed here.
Turned over quickly, but they do get the ball back. Ostrom plays it over to Miglietti right in the corner. Dropping dimes. Well defended. Alvara, chest control a little heavy, and then over the higher boot. Oh, wait.
He's called a foul back there. It's smart by the referee. Tried to play advantage, then playing out of the back. Saw the tackle flying in on Rocha at the end of it. And when the advantage didn't present itself, went back to the initial contact.
Pass by De Almeida and Ostrom. Right now, the game-winning goal couldn't quite keep it in play. Stavich continues his run, hits Saylor, does it go out for a corner? No. We're at 2 minutes. All goals in the second half. The first one, Lucas Meek got him going.
Just unfortunate for the Hoyas here as this ball comes back in. Kenny Nielsen on the back post run. Couldn't pick it up. Lucas Meek puts it in the danger zone. And then special from the outside back. And Pac-Man and Ostrom the cutback to the inside. Upper 90, thank you very much. And the comeback kids, 11 minutes to go. Riviere, who's been great all night long, gave them hope. 90 seconds to see if they can complete it.
Almeida just got rid of it. Hagar trying to bring it down, finally does. Ball to Pavara, he's got an option to the left. I'm not sure if he tried, I'm not sure what happened if he tried to pass it or not. Almost turned over. They get possession back. We are at 70 seconds. Flipped forward. 1 minute remaining. Georgetown probably ready for a little Route 1 football. Heavy touch by Nielsen. That leads to a turnover. Tevez finds Scardina. He'll pop it toward the corner to Micheletti. Oh, he's offside. They get it back in. We're under 40. Is there a miracle set for the Hoyas? Long ball played in. Saylor wins the header. 20 seconds. Nielsen and Miglietti battling again. 15. Hagar turns. He's under pressure. He's fouled. Clock is stopped with 9 seconds left. That'll be a chance to put it in the mixer. Giannis Nikopolidis is coming forward. The goalkeeper is getting in the mix for the Hoyas. He trots forward. The season is on the line with 8 seconds left. Matt Thompson, the referee, is sprinting over to the sidelines. He lost his card. He's coming over to card Jamie Clark, it seems. Yes, there's a yellow. Probably want to relax, though. You want to be able to play Sunday at 2 o'clock Eastern with the title on the line. But Clark's in the book. Thompson trots back into position. Hagar to play it in. Hagar floats it back post. It's loose. Riviere! His shot goes north of the net. And the Hoyas fall. The Huskies are heading forward to their first College Cup final, where they'll take on the Tigers. 2 o'clock on Sunday with the championship on the line.